Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll explain how genomic testing can help improve the profitability of your herd. Plus, details on a valuable tool that will allow you to select, manage, and market cattle with more confidence.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us. For hundreds of years, farmers and ranchers have made breeding and selection decisions based solely on the physical characteristics and general appearance of animals. But today, by taking DNA samples, progressive producers can use genomic information to enhance their breeding and management decisions. So what is genomics, and how can it help improve the profitability of your farm or ranch? I'm here with a knowledgeable group of people who can shed some light on this important topic. First is Dr. Paige Pratt of Neogen. Paige, tell us a little bit about your involvement in our industry.
So Kevin, I grew up on a commercial cow-calf and stocker operation in the Flint Hills of Kansas. I was fortunate enough to have parents that were highly involved in the industry and innovative in their approach to genetics. So I guess that led me to being involved and engaged in the beef cattle industry myself. And after getting a doctorate in animal breeding, I moved to Virginia, and my husband and I run a purebred Angus operation consisting of about 300 mama cows ourselves, and raise our family on the farm there.
That's fantastic. And Philip Weltmer is with us here from W&S Ranch in Kansas. Philip, tell us a little bit about your background and operation.
I grew up in north central Kansas on the Nebraska border, where I guess our fame is we're near the center of the 48 continental states. So we're right in the middle of the United States. But my grandfather had a livestock auction market, and we had a small feed yard. And so I was always around cattle. I enjoyed it. I've seen it, the ebb and flow, the styles and types of cattle we've had over the years. And then I always enjoyed the genetic side of it and seeing those calves come out. And that's kind of my focus after graduating Kansas State University. I got an animal science degree, and I focused on improving the cow herd. And in 2021, we were honored with the BIF Commercial Producers of the Year Award. It's kind of a culmination of the 20-some years of work that we've done to develop our cow herd. And so it's kind of where we've went with that, and then also we finish out our own calves in our feed yard. So we've seen it from the start to the finish and how they develop.
Great perspective, and congratulations. And our final panelist is John Teixeira from California and Teixeira Ranches. Tell us a little bit about your operation.
Yeah, our operation is family run, family operated. We'll sell about 200 bulls a year. We run our fall cows in California, our spring cows in Oregon, and we'll use genomics to advance and help our commercial customers go through that side of it.
That's fantastic. Well, let's start at the foundation, and I guess, John, I'll turn to you and ask you, what is genomics as it relates to the beef cattle industry? How would you define it?
You know, as you said in your opening, we've always selected cattle from visually and everything, and I think that's an important tool. I think that you can never replace walking through your cows and looking at your cows, but there's a way now using genomics through blood samples, tissue samples, that we can see what's happening internally. Yep. So we can use the DNA and we can identify the internal parts of those animals, all the way from tenderness to marbling, and we can do that from day one.
Hard to know looking at a replacement heifer whether she's going to milk like her mother or milk like her sire's mother, right? I mean, it's just difficult to see that, and so it's very intriguing. I'm curious, Philip, I mean, do you think cow-calf producers place enough emphasis on the genetic makeup of their cow herd?
I don't feel that we've taken the steps that we have the technology to use. I guess not every calf, even full sibs, are created equal. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's hard to, they both might look the same on the outside, but the inside might tell a different story. And that was how we were able to really develop our cow herd at a quicker pace, because I can know after it's born, I can take the DNA. Sure. I know which ones just need to go onto the feed yard, which ones are going to meet what we want in our end goal. And that's, we wanted to improve ribeye, we wanted to improve our marbling. The genetic side of it that you can't see from the outside, but we still focused on the structure, that maternal qualities that we needed on the physical and visual side. But I think it's a technology that the producers, if they really wanted to fine tune and know early on which one are the superior animal. So, a lot of our smaller producers, and so they may be only keeping 5 or 10 head back. Why don't we take that sample of the 20 and know that these are the best 5 that are going to help move my herd in the right direction? And why not take that up front and know which ones are going to help move you where you want to go, versus waiting and saying, oh, maybe we should have kept a different one, down the road. That's kind of our philosophy that we got into, is I wanted to know what was on the inside, and particular, even embryo flush mates are not the same. Right. And I saw that with some of the purebred stuff that we had been working with. And I'm like, on the commercial side, I just know that sibs aren't not necessarily going to be equal. And so that was a big push for us and why we did it. And I think it's an underutilized, and I would say some of it's the unknown, or I guess are uncomfortable with the knowledge. And the one thing I can say with the Igenity program, my rep, he's willing to answer any questions, and everybody I've met, if you have a question, that they're out there, and it's it's part of their job, but they've been really easy to work with and understand it. If you have a question, it's really simple. So that's what I enjoyed about it. They could answer it.
Dr. Pratt, you get across a lot of operations. What's your take on how much emphasis producers place on the genomic makeup of their cow herd?
So I think initially commercial producers are utilizing genomically enhanced EPDs or EPDs in the very beginning, before we even had genomics, to be able to improve their cow herd. And then they would go out and phenotypically select their best heifers. Well, most of the time, those were their biggest heifers. Those are the pounds heavy, pretty females, right? And so what we see is what we have selected for on that bull side is what we're really pretty good at. As I look at operations, I'll say, what kind of bulls have you selected for? And they'll say, we need pounds at weaning. I'm in Virginia. Feeder calves are the name of the game where I'm at. And most of the time, they're pretty good at it because they've selected for it. Well, the coolest part is that these genomics allow them to look past that single trait that really puts some money in their pocket and focus on traits that are a little harder to measure and achieve, such as stayability. That is certainly a major influencer of profitability in the cow herd, but really hard to measure. And some breeds don't even allow us they aren't to the point where we have tools to be able to select bulls for that. So because of genomic testing, we can look beyond that big heifer, that single trait selection, and we can find cows that are gonna work. I always like to say, supermodels have ugly babies too, right? And so because supermodels can have an ugly baby, I guarantee you the real pretty heifer, she can bring up a real little calf. And so our hope is that we can help you meet multiple goals of your operation at a single, with the help of genomics, we can provide that in a single custom index number to be able to utilize then and make it a little simpler. I know there's some folks, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm curious, and quickly, John, what have you seen in terms of some benefits to genomically testing cows and how it's improved your operation?
Well, for our operation, it's helped keep us out of the potholes. You can get rid of those females that don't meet our criteria, right off the bat. But the biggest thing for our operation, that it's allowed our bulls to talk directly to our commercial guys' females. So if they know, if it has a baseline of where their females are at, they can come in and select a bull that will move them in the direction that they want to go quicker than they could ever before.
That's outstanding news. Now, we have a lot more ground to cover before we're through, including a look at a great tool that can help you make better genetic decisions.
In this week's Weather Watch, we're chatting about this weather pattern change and what we may see coming our way during the month of January.
Handle feed, waste, and other materials on your operation with John Deere equipment. Weigh feed on the go with dynamic weighing. And move materials faster without spilling with the Level to Horizon feature on 6R tractors. Move and stack bales easily and clean up brush and debris with improved grapple work on 5 Series tractors. Get into tight spaces with skid steers and wheel loaders. And check calves, fences, and more with John Deere Gators. Ask your John Deere dealer to learn more.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. There are big benefits to being a member. You'll get industry news in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus discounts just for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
Welcome back to this special edition of Cattlemen to Cattlemen as we discuss how genomic testing can help improve the profitability of your herd. Tell us just a little bit about Identity Beef and specifically some of the benefits it has to beef cattle producers.
Identity Beef allows a producer to pull a DNA sample through hair, blood, or tissue, and will give you results that allow you to have a 1 to 10 score on 17 different traits.
Wow.
So you can know everything about that female, from how easy she's going to calve or her calves will calve, how much growth is she offering you, carcass traits, as well as stability, docility, and heifer pregnancy. It allows a producer to be able to use that information and find the females that fit the goals of their operation. It will also give you 3 indexes, a terminal, maternal, and production index. And you can also go in and make your own index. So if you have specific desires to produce high quality beef, whether it be big carcasses, more marbling, more tenderness, whatever it may be, it allows you to be able to pick the traits that are important to you, assign a weight percentage to them, and then have one number to be able to utilize in your selection. Because sometimes 17 1 to 10 scores can be a little overwhelming if you have 100 heifers on the list. But that one custom index allows you to be able to get a place to start, and then you can make sure that they don't have a problem in any of the other traits. So for instance, milk, right? Milk is kind of a rascal of a trait because we don't really need too much, but we don't want too little because we don't want brown little fuzzy calves. And so we usually don't put it in an index in most operations, especially if they're a little limited on feed resources.
Sure.
But we can go in and not put it in their custom index, rank those females on that custom index, and then go and check and make sure that milk is right where it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes, sir. Many folks obviously run multiple breeds or cross breeds. I'm curious, Philip, you run several different breeds of cattle. Does this product allow you to compare across breeds?
Well, that's the nice thing about genetics. It doesn't differentiate between the breeds. It's a bovine, as that's what the sample is, and so it doesn't matter if we have a red Angus calf or a black Angus calf or even a Simmental or Sim-Angus. Unless I write down beside it, anybody that's looking at my paperwork wouldn't know who the sire or the breed, and it allows you to cross all the breeds and still pick your best mating, I guess is how I'd best put it, that it's the best for your operation. It doesn't differentiate between amongst the breeds. It gives you a number just as if that's an Angus or it's a red Angus. The numbers are the same. It's a score based on its genetics. So it's as an individual.
That's fantastic. Dr. Pratt, we've talked most of our time today about cow-calf operations. What about feeders? Do you have an identity product that is geared specifically to feeders?
Absolutely. So Identity Beef is our replacement heifer, our female test. Our feeder calf test that can be used on steers or heifers is called Identity Feeder. So Identity Feeder allows you to be able to, again, take that DNA sample, but this time it gives you a terminal index, which is going to be directly related to the gross revenue of that animal. So our top 25% of calves right now will have a gross revenue about $220 greater per carcass over the bottom 25% based on that terminal index. It will also give you optimal days on feed. And you know, Kevin, as we talk about sustainability and how important that is to our industry, that's a piece that allows us to make sure we're able to feed that animal for an optimal period of time and not over or underfeed it and waste any of our resources. And obviously, from a profit standpoint, that's pretty important too. So I think it checks both boxes. Last but not least, we also have bovine congestive heart failure risk factor on that panel. So we're able to tell you whether that animal could potentially be at risk to a higher risk to be able to develop bovine congestive heart failure and have a late day on feed death. So our feeder tool, in my opinion, is really valuable from a risk management standpoint. So whether you're a stocker, backgrounder, feedlot, it allows folks in North Carolina to put together load lots of calves and market them, and a buyer be able to compare those calves against calves out of Montana. And you're able to find the good ones, the ones that are going to really work on the rail and provide you with profit, therefore taking some of the risk out of cattle feeding from different various parts of the country that may otherwise maybe not known for really good cattle on feed. We can help folks be able to identify those.
And as expensive as cattle are getting these days, it would seem that somebody would want to know that information before they write the kind of check we're asking them to write for feeder calves, for sure. So I think one of the questions a lot of producers have is just how much additional time it takes to take these samples and participate in a program like the one we've been talking about from Identity. John, what's been your experience?
You know, our experience has been that it can be really not very invasive at all, because every program can pick when they want to do it. For us, we'll take the TSU sample at birth. We'll put an 840 tag that's attached to the TSU sample. We have customers that will wean their heifers, and then they'll make their first cull. They'll DNA those heifers that they think they want to keep to make a final cull. We have other ones that will do it at their brandings. So I think it really depends on when it fits into the program for the particular ranch that we're talking about or the feedlot that we're talking about.
That's fantastic. Well, you've told us a little bit about how you do things back in your own operation. Let's take a look at your operation. We'll head to California and look at Teixeira ranches.
Genomic testing, once only available to purebred beef producers, has become an option for use in commercial herds. But these two groups often face challenges when it comes to sharing DNA information. The Teixeira Cattle Company wanted to find an easy way for their commercial customers to understand and take advantage of the genetics offered by their registered Angus cattle.
One day, a commercial guy came up to my husband and was like, "Hey, you got these EPDs, I've got my commercial cows, they don't read each other. How are we supposed to pick a bull from your cell to help benefit us? There's no way of knowing what's gonna work, what is needed." So that's when John was like, you know what, let's find what works.
Teixeira Cattle Company and Neogen joined forces to make cows and bulls speak the same DNA language. They created an easy-to-read custom selection index based on Identity DNA testing. This program is called Identity Total Cow Connection, a first-of-its-kind DNA evaluation that ranks Teixeira bulls on an identical basis as profiled replacement heifers. Now, their commercial customers can confidently select bulls that will steer their cow herd in the direction they choose.
So by using Identity, we can get that data, and it's objective data. It's not just fly by the seat of your pants, this is what we think it is. It's not a generic formula. It is DNA. Every commercial herd is different. Every purebred herd is different. What you think is important for your herd is what's that value. Genomic testing has helped us tailor our bull customers' needs by giving them what they need in their herds. We don't have just a one rubber stamp type cattle. We have a variety. So if it's high in marbling or if it's high in calving ease direct, there's a variety for them to choose from. We want to complement their herds. So we feel that by using this, our customers have the ability to come and select a bull that will in turn get exactly what they want.
Igenity provides seed stock producers an important competitive edge and gives their commercial customers more confidence in their purchasing decisions. That's the case for Rob Gill, who buys cattle for True Ranches. Rob likes the extra information he gets from Tushera Cattle Company thanks to their use of Igenity DNA technology.
When True Ranches was introduced to the Igenity beef profile genomics work, of course I was very skeptical at first, but we did a little test run, ran some numbers, soon realized that we truly did think that the program was going to work, and so we implemented it. We test every one of our potential replacement heifers, and we use that data heavily for our heifer selection. And so I have an apples-to-apples comparison of what their EPDs look like, what the Igenity beef profile is, and then how that matches up with our commercial herd. And then we ended up sampling everything, and we saw really a phenotypic change almost immediately in our heifer selection process. And we've had employees there 30, 35 years that each year now say, boy, this is a better set of heifers than last year. And so we think it's really helped us on our heifer and female development.
By putting the power of DNA to work, producers can learn more about each individual calf's genetic potential and in turn make decisions about each calf's future with more confidence.
You know, you look at that culling process and being able to determine what that bottom 10 or bottom 20% is probably more critical than knowing what the top 10% is. And so we focus heavily on what that bottom end is to cull out on our replacement heifer selection process.
With the help of Igenity, DNA technology is becoming an essential and easy-to-use tool that's helping producers in all phases of the cattle industry take some of the risk out of the decisions they make.
Yeah, I think genomic testing is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And the more that it becomes recognized, the more folks that you talk to like us that are using it on a large scale, I think you're going to see it really take off, especially as the economics start to show, you know, in a tighter and tighter market.
With this Igenity data, it helps them get that selection of what they want for their herd, where they're not just buying somebody's bull, it's actually what's going to improve their herd. We want to complement our customers' herd. We want to make it to where they can take their genetics and our genetics and take that marketability data to the feed yards.
Reporting from California, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
When we come back, our panel will share their thoughts on how Igenity helps them market their own cattle. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
By installing Ritchie waterers, you save water while keeping it fresh and always available to your animals. You protect the land by keeping natural water clean and soil healthy. And you conserve power because they're energy efficient. We're committed to helping you create a prosperous, sustainable, and regenerative future. Because we know, like you know, that every saved drop matters. Ritchie, fresh water for life.
CattleCon 24 is marching onward to Orlando, January 31st to February 2nd, 2024. Have your say in the future of the industry, network with fellow producers, or connect with friendly faces. Plus, the NCBA trade show will be on site with over 385,000 square feet of the latest and greatest in the cattle business to help your operation stay competitive and sustainable. Learn more at convention.ncba.org.
Time now for Weather Watch, brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance.
Happy holidays to you. It's time for the Weather Watch, and we're going to be chatting about kind of the longer range outlook late this month into January and what we may expect. we're starting to see this weather pattern changing a bit, shifting. And we saw that last week with all the moisture that fell across the southern plains. Very valuable. Not to take away from what we had at coastal areas for California on up toward Washington or the south and southeast. Great water here for some drought areas. But it was really the southern plains that was kind of the headline in the weather world for the amount of water that was received. And again, that was last week through this past weekend. Is this indicative of a weather pattern change? In some cases, yes, I do believe it is. I think it is that initial transition into El Nino and spreading the moisture classically where we would see those kind of El Nino type storms. You can't really tie one storm to El Nino. That's not really fair because there's so much else going on. But the weather pattern in general is starting to merge in this direction. As you know, on these Cattlemen to Cattlemen shows, I like to tie in what we previously talked about. So remember this map from last time? It was just kind of showing you the wetness impact and the timing of when we get that wetter weather for the south. And usually that's January through April for the south and southwest, and then November through April for the southeast. So we're kind of in the time zone, if you will, time range or time period of when we start to see El Nino kick in that weather pattern a bit more. And just like I showed you last time, it's about the storm flow, the jet stream. Where is it? Well, in this case, that's La Nina. This is El Nino, so we're worried about this map. And really, it's this time of the year, right when we're talking right now, where we start to see that jet stream get much stronger, say close to Hawaii. And it screams toward California or Oregon or Mexico, and it moves over the southern states. And we're starting to see that jet stream do just that. So as this kicks in over the next couple of weeks and couple of months, we're going to spread more moisture in across the southern U.S. So what may January be like? It's going to look like something like this based on history. It's that southern flow of moisture, again kind of that strong jet stream that comes from close to Hawaii, and it's going to hit the southern states with more moisture than the northern states. So the Dakotas drier, southern plains wetter, likely for January. What about temperatures? This is going to be interesting to see how the month of January plays out. We certainly have the potential for a lot more cold hits for the central and western U.S. and kind of push the warmth out to the northeast. And why do I say it's interesting? Based on the ultimate strength of the weather pattern in January, we may shift that warmth right here just for the northern plains and cover everybody else in some cold. That's why I think January is going to be an interesting month to watch pan out. We'll have updates on January in the next Weather Watch.
Weather Watch is brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors, with you no matter the weather. And by WSR Insurance, providing insurance solutions for more than a century. Visit their websites for more details.
One of the most important decisions a producer makes is the genetic makeup of the cattle in their herd. And those choices can impact your profitability for years to come. Here's a look at how a family in Virginia is using Igenity to help select genetics that'll improve their herd.
The Goforth family in Virginia has plenty to keep them busy. In addition to the stocker business Lynn has with his brother, he and his wife Kara started their own cow-calf operation.
My family's really in the yearling business. We buy 5 to 800 stocker cattle a week, and Kara and I kind of wanted to branch out and do a little something different and start a cow herd of our own.
Producers in every segment from cow-calf on through to the feed yard are using DNA testing to identify economically important traits like tenderness, feed efficiency, and stayability.
Everybody says they want to make their cattle better. Well, how do we do that? Without data, without numbers, you have no way to measure what your cattle are doing.
I think that Igenity beef allows folks to be able to find cattle that will allow them to be profitable, whether it's cattle that are being fed out in a feedlot or whether it's replacement heifers that will make their next generation. It's a game changer from the standpoint of being able to find high quality replacements for producers who are buying replacements, but it's also a game changer for feedlots that are wanting to be able to know that they're feeding out really high quality cattle.
You know, with high cost to feed, you surely want animals that are going to convert. You want cattle to be efficient. You breed a heifer, you want it to stay in your herd. The cost of developing a replacement heifer it's not cheap. So we breed one, we want her to stay here and work for us.
That's why the Goforths turned to Igenity by Neogen to help improve the quality of their cow herd with DNA technology. They now get inside information early in an animal's life to help them make better selection and management decisions.
We've tried to breed our cattle with carcass merit in mind and really just trying to hit the premiums that we can get from selling on the grid. And that's one reason we started testing with Paige and Neogen, is to try to find those cows or calves that were pulling our averages down or just not performing. The first year we got the data, Karen and I had to make some hard decisions. There were some cows in there that, man, you'd hate to sort off. I mean, some good looking cows, fleshy, really the front yard kind, but they weren't performing. And we wouldn't have found that without genetically testing those cattle.
Identity Beef has helped us to have the information and to be able to progress our cow herd without having to spend the years to make those leaps and bounds that the data can help us do when we look at our cow herd and what we're wanting to do. The numbers really help us to pull all that together and to achieve things in a shorter amount of time.
DNA testing provides objective and quantifiable data about an animal's genetic makeup instead of relying only on an assessment of its physical characteristics. This leads to more precise and effective culling decisions.
We knew that we had cattle that weren't performing. And in the past, the only thing we had to look at was maybe daily average gain or phenotypically what the cattle looked like. That's how Identity Beef has helped us so much. We've been able to get data on these cows. We found the cows that were excelling, and we found the cows that weren't performing. But I will say it's very rare that a heifer genetically tests well and doesn't phenotypically match it.
It's just a tool that allows you to select your best animals genomically speaking and what they have to pass on to their calves. But you do need to find animals that fit your environment. And so I think it's really important for producers to understand this is a tool that can help you achieve your goals, and it can be utilized with other things such as visual appraisal to be able to pick your best females.
When you go out to the pasture and you look at your pairs, it's really neat to see them flourish in the direction that you're wanting them to and visually look nice too, and it all just kind of comes together and works in the right direction of what you're wanting.
Some farmers and ranchers may have felt in the past that DNA testing is too complicated for use on their operations. But with the help of Identity, DNA technology is becoming an essential and easy-to-use tool.
The samples, that can be intimidating, but they tell you exactly how to ship them to them, how to handle them. They're durable. Everything is user-friendly. It's not as scary as it sounds.
I think it's a little intimidating when you think about genetically testing your cattle, but Neogen makes it so simple. If you can vaccinate your cow, you can test her. If you can vaccinate a calf, you can get to genomics on him. Neogen's made it super simple.
So I think one of the most unique things about Neogen is that we're very customer focused. We have territory managers across the country in every region that want to help you be able to work through this data. So we don't ever want a customer to feel like that they are embarking on this adventure by themselves.
For the Goforth family and producers like them, the DNA data provided by Identity is essential information they're not willing to do without.
I think Identity Beef has helped us find the females we were looking for and fit our environment and fit the end product that we need to be profitable.
I can definitely tell the person that is maybe not really interested in doing it from my standpoint that I wouldn't give it up at this point. I really appreciate what it's added to our cow herd and to our lives. It just has enhanced our operation.
Reporting from Virginia, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We're back now with our panel, and I have to tell you, as a guy that grew up in 4-H and FFA and collegiate livestock judging, visual appraisal has always been important to me. I'm curious, does this take the place of visual appraisal, or how do you integrate genomic information with visual appraisal? Philip?
You can't go away from that visual, making sure their foot quality, as I like to say, they have to walk and talk for you. Okay. You got to visually see it. Yeah. But the nice part about the DNA is you can come back and see what's inside. If they don't pass the eye test where they're structurally correct, those things are still important because they still have to fit your environment. If they can't walk and forage and take care of their health themselves structurally, then we need to move on from them. So it doesn't replace it. It's just another tool.
How does a seed stock producer square those two elements?
You know, just like Philip said, I mean, even in the seed stock element, you know, they've got to be the right kind. Okay. And so as we're keeping back females, as we're selling bulls to customers, we have people that need different things in different environments across the country. So it's important that our females that we're keeping fit just a little bit more of a broader spectrum of what it is. So a lot of our guys will do their first culls and get rid of those females that won't work. We'll do the same. We make a lot of our females recips and that don't meet up in the criteria that we're looking for, that we know will fit our bull customers' needs.
So I'm curious, does all this data that you have make it easier or more difficult to make breeding and management decisions, John?
Oh, sometimes I think it makes it tougher because we just have so much information out there today. And I think for us, you know, as purebred operators, our goal is to make that perfect one. But in all reality, it's impossible. But we still strive to do it. We still strive to go forward. So I think Neogen makes that easier, though, with the indexes for our customers, especially a lot of our customers like the way that they can make the index their own. They can use Neogen's index, but a lot of our guys make it so it fits their program and their specific marketplace of where they're trying to sell their cattle.
And tell us how you've used that, Philip. It sounds like you're a big fan of those indexes.
The index simplifies it for me. It can make that first cut, and then we can fine tune and based on my environment, maybe I want a milk of a 5 or a 6. And I can make sure then the ones that qualified in the index, make sure that we don't have any outliers, and then make cuts from there. The index just simplifies it. They have what's called the dashboard, and you can pull up all the data, and then you can pull up past years as well, and kind of see, you can track where you've been.
Excellent.
And you can go back and say, yeah, we averaged a 5 last year or 2 years ago, and those heifers really milked like we wanted them to.
Sure.
They bred back at a good rate. We're comfortable with that. And sometimes it's a learning process, but the dashboard simplifies it. Yeah. But it helps take 5 or 6 major markers that you want to study, and then like Paige said, you can go back and adjust them. Yeah. And tweak it to your environment or what your desire is. And it's made it easier, but like John said, it's not easier with all the data.
At least you have the tools.
It can be overwhelming at times. And like, well, how am I going to utilize this? But at the end, in 2 or 3 years, when you see that process, it's like, oh, we're on the right track. We've got the cows where we want them.
Fantastic. Paige, I'm curious, let's talk marketing for a minute. How can this data be used to actually help people market their cattle better?
Well, certainly on the Igenity beef side, we have a branded program that allows folks to market replacement females utilizing both the maternal as well as the terminal index. Okay. So we'll sell some calves. I know out where we're at in the Mid-Atlantic, we'll have hundreds of females that are sold through different sales that allow folks to be able to identify this is going to be a really elite maternal female for my operation, and it really has caught on with the buyers of those females. Likewise, on the flip side, our Igenity feeder has then also allowed our producers to be able to test their heifers and apply some of their averages of their females to the steer mates. And so therefore we're marketing load lots of steers or feeder heifers, the ones that maybe don't make the cut, based upon the terminal index, and being able to allow them to market their feeder calves at a premium. And then also, like I said, on that flip side, those feeders that are buying those cattle have a lot less risk in what they're purchasing because they know they're going to have heavier carcasses or more marbling, whatever it may be, in regards to working with those cattle and feeding them out. So we have folks that are testing heifers as well as steers. Wow. and really utilizing that to be able to improve their profitability.
It's exciting news and great technology. Now, don't go away. We'll have more insights from our panel, including their thoughts on screening for genetic risk factors. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. There are big benefits to being a member. You'll get industry news in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus discounts just for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
It can be tough to keep up with all the issues that impact the beef cattle business. That's why NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen is dedicated to bringing you valuable news, information, and education. The goal is to give you the knowledge you need to make the best decisions for your operation. So if you're looking for in-depth coverage of the beef industry and the issues that matter to you, don't miss Cattlemen to Cattlemen, debuting every week on RFD TV and on YouTube.
Welcome back. We're discussing genomics and how it can enhance your breeding and management decisions. Let's talk about bovine congestive heart failure. First of all, Dr. Pratt, tell us a little bit about what it is, and let's talk broadly about how it's impacting the industry.
So bovine congestive heart failure is just what it sounds like. It's heart failure in an animal that mainly is going to manifest itself in cattle that are late days on feed. The U.S. Mark found data to support that these cattle were really good cattle. They were feeding well, they were doing well, other health, it was in check. They didn't have some long history of any issues, but in their late days on feed, when they were heavy and especially during the warmer months, sure, they were finding that those cattle in their later days on feed would just die. It's just very inexplicably, there's nothing leading up to it to kind of make them, I guess, question what was going on.
And no real treatment.
No real treatment.
Yeah.
And so, as we have researched the bovine congestive heart failure, and some folks have really keyed in on what it looks like and some of those phenotypic characteristics that the cowboys can pay attention to, we've been able to collect a lot of data and recently partnered with Simplot to be able to provide us with a very large data set. It's about 70,000 head where they have heart scores from the plant on calves, and they were able to score those hearts. So those hearts are going to look like kind of a basketball that my son brings to me and says, "Mama, can you blow it up?" Right? It kind of looks like a deflated basketball. And that information, the data that they have collected, has allowed us to be able to partner with them and identify SNPs to be able to select for cattle that were going to not suffer from that disease.
So Philip, have you experienced any issues with congestive heart failure on cattle?
As Paige alluded to, it seems it's always been your big, healthy calf. They're doing good for no reason that you can think of. I mean, they're relatively healthy. They're growing well, and you'll go up, and it's usually late into the finishing portion, and you'll just have one unexpectedly dead. It's not a large percentage, but as an animal husbandry issue for me, and you hate to lose any. And so it's something that I've been interested in following, and through the identity testing, we've been able to follow the heifers last year, and then this year we're testing them. And it's relatively new. We're going to do every steer this year. We took samples last week, and I'll have a baseline, and we can try to follow it and see what comes of it. But it's small percentage of it is affected. But yes, it's you hate to lose any, but sure, and it's going to be your bigger, your healthier calf in most cases, and it's like, well, what caused that? And you can't know. I mean, we can have the vet come out, and they're like, well, all we can find it looked like it had a little bit bigger heart. Or, there's no health, there's no pneumonia, anything that they can say, this is what pinpoints it. And so that's kind of a frustrating part on, how do we care for that animal? Sure. And so there is an other aspect of it. And so we're just, in my mind, trying to figure out what we can do as a producer to make alleviate the issue.
Yeah, I would say it's very exciting that we have genomic testing to help uncover and discover some of this information. I'm curious, from your seat in the bleachers, what other kind of risk factors or disease conditions do you think genomics are going to help us address and solve, Dr. Pratt?
So I think we're just on the forefront of what's to come. We work in bovine, both beef and dairy cattle, and we're sitting at 17 traits with replacement heifers. Dairy is sitting at 54. And so there's a lot of opportunity, I think, especially in health, for us to be able to expand that prediction opportunity.
John, do you have any goals or dreams?
I mean, I think as congestive heart failure comes into play and becomes more of a discussion throughout the beef industry, sure. I think it's important to know that we can use this tool, as we've talked earlier, to keep us out of some potholes. We're at the forefront of this, but it's important to take it and start to utilize it so that we don't get ourselves into a major hole and a major issue in the congestive heart failure world.
And even other diseases, whether it be BRD or anything else. There's a lot of dollars to be generated and saved in our industry if we can address some of those things through genetics. Exciting stuff. When we come back, we'll have more insights from our panel of producers on how Neogen products can improve the profitability of your cattle operation. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Have you ever dreamed of owning a brand new John Deere Gator? Well, now's your chance. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association is conducting an online auction for a new Gator, and all proceeds will support their efforts on Capitol Hill on issues that directly impact cattle producers. It's part of John Deere's long-term commitment to the beef industry and NCBA.
We actually have a sponsorship that we've had for many years with the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. John Deere is committed to those folks. We're committed to the beef producers. We're committed to make sure that you have the equipment to do the job, perform very well, and we are making sure that we are supporting the NCBA every year.
There will be several Gators auctioned off throughout the year, so you'll have many chances to bid. Go to ncba.org and click on the banner with the John Deere Gator, or scan the QR code you see on the screen to place your bid.
Welcome back to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. We've talked a lot today about identity, but I'm curious, Dr. Pratt, what are some other Neogen products that we should highlight?
So Neogen also has a whole array of animal health and animal safety products, such as D3 needles, Prima Shot syringes, StandGuard, Protectus, as well as solutions that allow us to address rodenticide problems, as well as water quality treatments. So really there is a whole lineup of other products in addition to genomics that would offer solutions for producers.
Fantastic. And one last thing, as we wrap up the show today, I would like to give each one of you an opportunity to just share your view and maybe perspective about the future of genomic testing and what it means to the beef cattle industry. John?
Well, thank you for having us today, both Cattlemen to Cattlemen and Neogen. Really appreciate it. You know, I think the future's bright. I think as we've discussed today, you know, the beef cattle industry is on a major upswing right now, and it's our job as producers to make the quality as good as we can and as consistent as we can to compete with the other proteins out there. And using genomics, we can really get that done a lot quicker than we could in years past.
Great way to say it. Yes, Philip.
And I'd like to go off kind of what John said. You know, we're doing a finished product. You know, our product is going to our consumer. And if we don't have that in our mindset in developing our genetics to help hit those targets that make, whether we want tenderness or more marbling, we're down the road, we could be putting ourselves into a hole that we don't want to be in. And just, I'll put it out there, most other proteins have farther testing, more development and down the road farther than we have as a beef industry. But I think the road and our future is bright if we can continue to develop our genetics.
Dr. Pratt.
You know, Kevin, at our place, obviously, just like at everyone else's, inputs are high, margins are tight. And so I think one thing that Neogen genomics allow you to be able to achieve is bang for your buck. Every cow matters. Every female, every replacement heifer matters, or every steer that you buy from someone and try to be able to turn a profit on matters. And so I hope that you can find that Neogen allows you to be able to improve your profitability, to be able to pass these farms on to the next generation, which is really important. And we really want to be a part of that opportunity for your operation to be successful. So there's 40 folks across the country that work in the field for Neogen. Whether it be these animal safety or animal protein products or genomics, we would love to be able to reach out to you, sit down at your kitchen table, and work with you to be able to achieve your goals.
Couldn't agree with you more. We participated in a whole cow herd testing program ourselves a couple of years ago, and that additional insight, as you say, is just one more tool to allow us to make better, more accurate decisions that add to the profitability of the operation. Thanks for all you do, and thank you for your perspective today. Now remember, if you want to unlock the genetic potential of your herd, Igenity is the perfect solution. And as we've discussed, it can be personalized to fit your operation's specific production or marketing goals. Visit the website neogen.com/Igenity-beef for all the details. Another way you can learn about the products and services available from Neogen is at the NCBA trade show during the upcoming CattleCon. That's January 31st through February 2nd in Orlando, Florida. Stop by the Neogen booth, number 1257, where experts will be on hand to talk about the benefits of genomic testing and other animal safety products. For more information on this event, you can go to convention.ncba.org. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks again to our panel for all your insights, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next week right here on RFD TV.